So upon every level in my experience with my case, the city of Natchitoches has been evil to me. I mean, there were other cities where there seemed to be some balance, some checks and balances, some fairness, but I have not seen any fairness in any part of Natchitoches. Every level, from the very beginning, for the very moment I walked into the library, they suppressed the first librarian who said hi to me. Didn't know her name till after my trial. They suppressed and lied about so much just from the very basic library level, and then moving up to the cops, and then to the process with the city court and the prosecutor, and then the city itself, just hiring, trying. The city tried to ban me from making public records requests by using Goldweem's law firm to make those arguments against my public records requests. Every level, even the whole state, pretty much, because the higher courts won't even listen to a case like this. They don't care what's going on in the lower courts. So I guess this is the way that the people like to live, with all this just unbelievable amount of suppression of evidence. Pretty much, that's what they first want to attack, is suppressing the evidence, on every single level. You can't find out anything about the government employees, because the courts have decided that they don't want the government employees to be embarrassed or to have anybody jealous. They want to protect the government employees from embarrassment or jealousy. And that goes with everything on every level. It's just across the board. And listening to the city court judge Owsley argue that a first and last name is already giving up private information. Telling a first and last name, and Kentucky's actually taking it in that direction as well, a little bit, by building it into their police policies. But everything is to be suppressed. And you know, that first day that I was in the library after I got released from jail, I listened to a guy asking for help from a librarian, admitting that he couldn't read. So the ultimate way to suppress the public is just not teach them how to read. And I mean, when I was in the military back in '95, stationed at Barksdale Air Force Base in 1995, there was a man, Airman Caples. I forget his first name, but his last name was Caples, Caples, and the sergeant was picking on both of us, claiming that we were both illiterate. All right, and so we got tested, and Caples tested at about a 9th grade level, or maybe less, and I tested at an 11th grade level of reading comprehension. So at that time, I mean, clearly I struggled, but also that airman, Caples was from the Shreveport area and has a family there, and he tested at a significantly lower grade level for reading comprehension than I did. And it's just built into the system. as a way to promote secrecy. I mean, the police in Natchitoches suppress half their information, stuff that, so they reduce your ability to read anything. They don't want you reading anything about government, and so they don't provide a lot of information, and why that is just, it's mind-boggling to me. I think that attitude is what led them to the Civil War, and it can lead them to another stupid war that they can lose again if they want to challenge the government with their way of living. Their way of living cannot stand up against the North, and I'm accused of being a Northerner. Sure, yeah, Wisconsin, straight up north from Louisiana. I mean, the librarians did a little research on me, finding out that I'm from the North. I mean, even though I've been traveling the past 11 years, that doesn't matter. I still got the northern roots. So even if I was born in Louisiana, these people are not only at the Northerners' throats, they're at each other's throats. They're shooting off their guns at night, almost every night. I've heard it all around. And I haven't heard any noticeable gunfire through Illinois. So, or Paducah, Kentucky, when I was stuck there fighting that case. I didn't hear any gunfire, except maybe during the daytime, and it sounded like it was more in the woods, so somebody possibly target practicing. But there's no target practice in Louisiana. Well, on a skill level, I was in one town where I heard a gunfire fairly close. It scared me, and you hear the sirens, and I saw some cop cars go past me, where I was at, and I find out later in the news that some 15-year-old kid shot up a car. So he just shot a car with several rounds. So they're doing that a lot. They're not just firing into the air. They're firing at objects, at other people in Louisiana, and then they want to suppress all this information. But what surprises me is watching Mandu's channel with the hearings on probation and parole, the parole hearings. They're actually, Louisiana's actually disclosing those videos of the parole hearings. You can actually watch people who have been convicted begging to be set free after 20 years, 30 years. When they're up for parole, you can listen to the entire conversation, and it's too bad that that's not allowed in their court systems. And they suppress so much themselves in the courts. I mean, if Judge Ousley, in a city of 17,000 people, can erase, delete, and then claim that it's just an error on the machine's part, erase, delete whole trials in a city of 17,000. Imagine what's happening in smaller towns, like those towns with mayor's courts, where the mayor can be the judge and demands that his police force pull over more people, and then he's the one to convict the drivers, and then they can make a significant revenue off of that without question. So it's just it's amazing. Just in my case, and when I'm learning about Louisiana, which I don't want to learn anything about them. The only thing I'm interested in is stuff that I like to learn about, stuff that's taken out of Louisiana, like the slave collar and the slave whip that are sitting in I forget the name of that city, but they're in a museum, and I just wonder, with this slave collar and slave whip, the Civil War veteran grabbed those items from Louisiana. He says from Louisiana. And I wonder, did he grab it from a pile of slave collars and slave whips? Was this in somebody's house? Did he go into somebody's house to get an individual slave collar? I just wonder, like, how many more slave collars? I mean, was it just a pile of them at the blacksmith? I mean, it's just the detail. I mean, the information that they provide really makes me wonder. Because after the Civil War, he grabbed these, and they're not exactly light. A slave collar is not exactly light. Did he grab it off of a dead slave? I mean, it looks like that collar was cut, but maybe it was never fastened in the first place. I don't know. Was it a collar that was used? Was that whip used? I mean, it's just amazing to learn about. And then I wonder if Louisiana would want those back. I mean, I'm sure there was some communication, but this museum doesn't have a curator, apparently, and it's a really nice museum. And it's run just by volunteers. You wouldn't see a slave collar or slave whip in any Louisiana museum. I'm sure of it. This is something that has to be displayed outside to show how bad they are. Louisiana wouldn't want, and that's the thing. That's why Louisiana wants to suppress, the Louisiana has a culture of suppression, is because, I mean, a lot of their history looks bad, makes the government look bad, embarrassment. So they suppress it, and they just continue to suppress it, and it's a problem because of shame from the slavery years, shame from enslaving people and then losing the Civil War in their fight to keep people enslaved. So there's a lot to suppress, but to continue this, it's really disturbing. Just in my case alone, I mean, I spent nearly 30 days in jail, and I was facing 6 months, and now I'm facing another 6 months for the same crime. And this information seems to fall in deaf ears. All this information that's found, because ultimately it comes down to Judge Barber, and then the prosecutor Benjamin, who's going to try to convict me again. So it comes down to just two people, and then after that, I guess another appeals process. I mean, we have to go through the trial to figure out what faults were made. I mean, I think the biggest fault was, I mean, how do you argue that, though? How do you argue that the librarians clearly deleted the video? I mean, do I have to make it obvious that I asked for the librarians' videos? I'm pretty sure I asked the prosecutor for it, and once again, the prosecutor is just going to claim that they're not obligated to give me what they don't have, and obviously he knows, just based on the librarian's testimony, that it'll look bad for them, so he just didn't want it. He closed his ears, his eyes, and then waited the time limit. They all waited the time limit to delete the librarian video, and that person that gave the authority to delete, and I think the person who actually did the deleting, after 30 days, they have some kind of policy, maybe. Is it a policy, or did they just kind of reason that 30 days sounds good without putting that in writing? But it's the deleter that's the one who's ultimately to blame. The person who deleted that video, the person who authorized it, I mean, that's support, I guess. You wanna talk to the higher level in the chain of commands. But what do you do? I guess that's not exactly something that's brought up before my trial. But I mean, seriously, they deleted evidence. That'd be a matter of a lawsuit, but I have no idea how to go through that. I'm just trying to defend myself against going to jail again. And I mean, that sounds like it would be a sanctionable offense. to delete the evidence like that, because that, I mean, and now that's got me more paranoid. I want to record every time I step foot into a library, just to protect myself. I never knew that was something that really needed to be seriously done until I visited the Natchitoches library. So it's a heads up for everybody. I mean, I'm not getting a lot of views, but I mean, I'm trying to warn people, if you travel and visit different places, you're gonna want to protect yourself. Just doing basic things. They'll delete evidence enough to the point where they can communicate their hallucinations about what happened. Instead, they'll make up things and speak with much confidence. You know, that seems to be how they judge each other, is, oh, if the other person speaks with a lot of confidence. And a prosecutor definitely speaks with a lot of confidence in their lying. So they've had a lot of practice, and it's concerning. Prosecutors don't seem to be held to a very high standard and get away with a lot. And statistically, it just shows that the prosecutors are withholding evidence and lying. And I mean, all I could do is just try to defend myself. This next case, I guess I got another court hearing at the end of May. I'm not sure the exact dates. I'm in Chicago, and I really don't want to go down to Louisiana in the summertime. So if Judge Barber demands that I be present anytime in the summertime, there's a good chance I'll probably get a warrant for my arrest. After, I'll ask to wait till winter time, but if he wants to demand it now, my presence now in the summertime, then I guess I'm going to have a warrant for my arrest, and then I'll try to return in the winter time. So that's it.